You ever watch someone strut into a courtroom like they're walking onto their own patio, chin up, sunglasses on, acting like the rules apply to everyone but them? Good. Because today's story is exactly that. Our HOA president, let's call her Beatrice Karen Miller, was certain she could bully, fine, and humiliate whoever she wanted and never face a single consequence. She laughed at us, rolled her eyes at the police, mocked the judge. She thought she was untouchable. By the end, she wasn't just touched by the law, she was wrapped in it, knotted up by the very bylaws she weaponized against the rest of us. If you're already rooting for the downfall of power-drunk HOA tyrants, hit that like button right now. And tell me in the comments, what's the pettiest HOA rule you've ever heard? I'll feature the wildest one in our next video. All right, buckle up. The next HOA board meeting looked like a suburban parliament seance, folding chairs, lukewarm lemonade, and Beatrice in a cream blazer with an inch-thick binder. She called the meeting to order in a voice that could curdle paint. I stood and laid out the facts. The greenhouse complied. I brought photographs, measurements, a letter from the county inspector. I showed Lily's drawings, her tiny seed chart. The room softened. People are human, even in beige. Beatrice was not. She slid a sheet across the table. Revised interpretive guidance on aesthetic cohesion, dated 3 days earlier, signed by herself. It declared, reflective glass exceeding 12 square feet may constitute visual intrusion. And guess what? My greenhouse had panels. Glass is reflective. Guilty. I asked when the community voted on this guidance. She smiled. The board doesn't require a homeowner vote for interpretive clarifications. Who's on the board? I asked. She lifted her chin. Myself, our treasurer, my sister Denise, and our secretary, my cousin Alana. The rest of the seats were temporarily vacant. Ah, a family business. 3 more notices arrived that week. One for my mailbox font, apparently too whimsical. One for unauthorized exterior lighting, a single solar lantern by Lily's Stepping Stones. And one for parking drift, my truck's tire touching the white line at the community lot for 12 minutes. I started documenting everything. Photos, dates, meeting minutes, screenshots of the interpretive guidance edits that seemed to appear whenever Beatrice needed them. Then came my favorite. A violation for auditory disturbance, because Lily laughed loudly while watering the lemon tree on a Saturday morning. That one went viral in our neighborhood group chat. People started DMing me. Stories poured out. The retired teacher on Maple Drive fined for wind chimes. A single mom dinged for letting her kids chalk a hopscotch grid. A veteran warned for displaying excessive patriotism because his flag exceeded the approved fold ratio. Beatrice wasn't protecting property values. She was manufacturing revenue and control. I filed a formal dispute. She set a hearing for 8:15 a.m. on a Tuesday with 12 hours notice. I showed up anyway. The board was Beatrice, her sister, and her cousin. A decorative gavel sat beside a charger cable. My greenhouse file barely hit the table before she announced, "We'll proceed under Section 14, Rapid Adjudication. I asked to record. She said no. I asked for an agenda. She said it's fluid. I asked to present county compliance. Docs. She said irrelevant under HOA aesthetics. When I pointed out Section 3.2 of the bylaws requiring at least 5 board members. For fines exceeding $500, she blinked. Then she smiled. We are operating under emergency quorum. What emergency? She steepled her fingers. An epidemic of non-compliance. I wish I were making that up. They upheld the fines. And they started the daily accrual clock. On day 6 at 6:02 a.m., I woke to tapping on the glass, my greenhouse. Beatrice and her cousin stood in my yard with a clipboard and a tape measure, photographing my tomatoes like they owed rent. I told them to leave. Beatrice pointed at the fence. HOA Common Access Clause, I called the police. The responding officer, a patient woman named Ruiz, took everything down. She told Beatrice to leave the property unless there was an emergency or prior written consent for inspection. Beatrice laughed. "I am the emergency." Officer Ruiz turned to me and, God bless her, said, "Sir, document, document, document." So I did. And because this is Keys and Chaos, I'm going to tell you exactly how the dominoes fell. And if you're still with me, consider sharing this video to your neighborhood group chat. You never know who needs a blueprint. Step 1. I pulled the HOA's Articles of Incorporation and annual filings. Guess what? 2 years of missing financial disclosures. Step 2. I requested the vendor ledger. We're entitled to see where our dues go. They stalled. Claimed the printer was under maintenance. Step 3. I talked to the previous treasurer, who'd resigned last year. He said Beatrice pushed through administrative stipends that just happened to match her sister's new SUV payments. He sent me a photo of a check stub, community liaison retainer, payable to Harmony Outreach LLC. Owner? Denise Miller, Beatrice's sister. Step 4. The ballots. The last election notices had all gone to a P.O. box registered to Beatrice's cousin. Residents never received them. Board seats won unopposed. Step 5. The bylaws themselves. The original charter required a 5-member board, open monthly meetings, transparent voting, and homeowner appeal rights. Beatrice had tacked on interpretive guidance memos, unapproved appendices, to create a shadow rule book. I packaged everything. Timelines, receipts, screenshots, a neat little brick of reality. Then, because the daily fines hit $1,750 and Lily's lemon tree was now contraband, I marched it to a real courtroom. The courtroom was quiet in that way that makes your bones behave. Beatrice arrived like a parade, cream blazer, sunglasses, a binder thick enough to stun a moose. She sat, crossed one leg over the other, and smirked at me across the aisle. Our case wasn't criminal. It was a petition for injunctive relief and a motion to compel records under the HOA's own governing documents and state law. Translation: stop the fines, produce the books, and act like a legitimate association. The judge, gray-haired, unamused, took the bench. My attorney spoke first, calmly, methodically. He presented the bylaws, highlighted the 5-member board requirement, quoted the exact clause for financial transparency, and put up the interpretive guidance memos on a screen like exhibits in a museum of nonsense. Then Beatrice took the stand, and she laughed. "I run this community because no one else can," she said. "People are lazy. They don't care about property values. If I didn't step in, this place would look like a yard sale. Do you have board meeting minutes?" my attorney asked. "I keep the important things in my head. Did homeowners vote on the guidance that created new reflective glass restrictions? It was necessary leadership. Did the association collect fines into the general operating account? We have multiple accounts for flexibility. Controlled by whom?" She smiled. "Me. If you've ever seen hubris dig its own grave with a gold-plated spoon, you know the energy in that room. Mid-trial CTA. If your blood pressure just rose, breathe and drop a comment with transparency. It really helps the video travel to more viewers who need this story. And if you're new here, subscribe. This channel is where HOA bullies come to retire." Then something happened I did not expect. From the back row, an older woman stood up, small frame, gray cardigan, hands trembling. "Your Honor," she said softly, "may I be heard?" The judge hesitated, then nodded carefully. "Identify yourself." "I'm Margaret Hughes," she said. "Beatrice's mother." You could hear the oxygen leave the room. She was sworn in. My attorney glanced at me. I had no idea who she was or what she'd say. Beatrice's jaw tightened. The first crack in the porcelain. "Mrs. Hughes," my attorney asked gently, "why are you here?" She looked down at her lap. "Because I made this," she whispered. "And I can't let her keep hurting people." She didn't speak like a lawyer. She spoke like a mother with a heavy box of truth. She was a good girl, Margaret said. Smart, determined. But when she wanted something, she would take it, and I would make excuses. Beatrice broke rules in school. I blamed the teachers. She cut lines. I called her efficient. She snuck money from my purse. I told myself I must have misplaced it. Every time I shielded her. I told her consequences were for other people. Beatrice's face flushed red. "Mom, stop!" Margaret's voice shook. When she joined the HOA, she said, "Finally, I'll have authority." She started bringing me checks. "Stipends," she said. "The first year, I didn't ask questions. The second year, the amounts were bigger. I asked where it came from." She smiled and said, "Compliance." The judge leaned forward. "Do you have any records?" Margaret pulled out a worn envelope. Inside, photocopies of checks from the association account to Harmony Outreach LLC, Miller Consulting, and, yes, 2 checks written directly to cash, endorsed by Beatrice. Memo lines, operations, community aesthetics, expedited review. My attorney took one look and exhaled, slowly. The judge took the copies. The room went very still. Beatrice tried to rally. "Your Honor, these internal allocations are authorized under—" "They're not," Margaret said softly. "You never had a vote." Something in Beatrice broke. The smirk curdled into a sneer. "You don't understand governance, Mother. None of you do. I am the HOA." The judge's eyebrows climbed, just a fraction. But enough. My attorney returned to the basics. 5-member board requirement. Annual financials to homeowners. Meetings noticed at least 7 days in advance. No fines above $500 without a full board and documented minutes. Interpretive guidance cannot contradict or add to established covenants without a homeowner vote. Funds must be maintained in board-authorized accounts with dual signature protocols. And then he did something beautiful. He read those clauses out loud. Not to the judge. To Beatrice. Slowly, clearly, like you'd read the rules of a game to a sore loser. "Do you dispute any of these requirements?" he asked. She licked her lips. "They're flexible. Under what authority?" "My authority," she said, quieter now. "Which clause?" Silence. The judge cleared his throat. "Ms. Miller, do you have duly adopted minutes authorizing fines in this case?" She stared at the table. "Do you have homeowner vote records for your interpretive guidance documents?" "Nothing." "Do you have financial statements for the last 2 years?" Her jaw worked. No sound came out. The judge turned to Officer Ruiz, yes, the same officer who was present on subpoena. She confirmed the backyard incident, the attempted common access claim, and that Beatrice had refused to leave until threatened with trespass. The dots connected themselves. "Injunctive relief is granted," the judge said at last. "All fines against the plaintiff are void ab initio. The association is ordered to cease enforcement actions pending a special election and a full external audit. The court compels production of all financial records within 10 business days. Failure will result in sanctions." Then the judge looked directly at Beatrice. "And Ms. Miller, this is not your kingdom. It is a non-profit association bound by the documents you ignored. If one more retaliatory notice leaves your clipboard, I will see you back here for contempt." Beatrice didn't laugh. She didn't smile. She sat very still, as if the pew swallowed her. I squeezed Lily's hand. She didn't understand all the words. She understood the part where we didn't have to tear down her greenhouse. The audit was messy. Harmony Outreach LLC turned out to be a paper company with no employees. The administrative stipends were unauthorized. Vendors charged triple for landscaping services, companies connected to Beatrice's cousin. The election notices? Never mailed. The ballots? Printed but never distributed. Homeowners packed the rec center for a special election. People who never spoke at meetings lined up like parade floats of pent-up rage. The vote wasn't close. Beatrice was removed. So were her cousin and her sister. A caretaker board took over, opened the books, and reversed dozens of fines. No criminal charges yet. But the new board referred the file to the state attorney general's office and the county fraud unit. Sometimes justice is slow. Sometimes it walks in with a cardigan and an envelope. Beatrice put her house up for sale. Beige listing. Neutral fonts. Meticulously maintained community. I'm sure it is now. Lily's greenhouse stands. The lemon tree has 3 bright fruit hanging like tiny suns. She made a new sign, hand-painted, cheerful, a little messy. Community garden, come smell the leaves, I'm not naive. HOAs can be helpful. They can also be hammers. The difference is paperwork, transparency, and people willing to say, "Show me where it says that." The rulebook is a shield for owners, not a weapon for tyrants. If you want the document checklist we used to win this, drop checklist in the comments and I'll pin it. And if you made it this far, you're my kind of neighbor. Hit like, share this to your local group, and subscribe to Keys and Chaos. We take on HOA Karens, landlord bullies, and anyone else who thinks a clipboard equals a crown. Tell me, what should we cover next? An HOA banning porch pumpkins, or a landlord who tried to charge air conditioning fees in December? Your vote decides the next upload. This is Keys and Chaos. See you in the next one. And to any Beatrices watching, read your bylaws. Out loud, twice.